Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of GLP with an ostomy. Wait a minute, I'm not going to change the name again, but I know it has a ring to it when I say GLP with an ostomy, but I think the group name is GLP Wow with an I can't remember the name of the darn group. But anyway, I'm just calling it GLP with an ostomy or whatever. But I might have to change that again in 14 days. So I'll let you know if that happens because I kind of like the ring of that GLP with an ostomy. Okay. But anyway, okay, let's get on to the story. As you see in the title, yes, it got nasty today with my doctor's secretary. Once again, I knew it was going to happen before it happened, so I just geared myself up for the fight. I called my pharmacy again on today. Well, not again. I hadn't called them at all. I actually went to the pharmacy. This was, I believe, Thursday, the last time that I uploaded a video. That was the day that I went to the pharmacy. And I basically just stopped in to check the status of everything because the Thursday before, remember, my doctor had until 10 o'clock Thursday morning to resubmit the prescription for the quick pen instead of the regular injectable of the Zepbound. And so that was done because remember, he called me in a frantic. We've been through that story 3 times already, so we won't even rehash that. But the one thing that I wasn't certain about, I said, I bet you any kind of money, more than likely, they're going to want another pre-authorization. And so my thought was, if they want another pre-authorization for the medication, all they have to do is copy and paste the information from when they submitted the last pre-auth and just shoot it to Medicare. And then that's that, okay? So I was thinking that, but I didn't know for sure. And so when I went last Thursday and asked, they said, well, we're waiting to hear from the doctor because the pharmacist sent the doctor a note. But I didn't think to ask what was the note about. I didn't know if it was about the pre-auth. I didn't know if it was about, something that he may have gotten wrong on the prescription or I don't know. I really don't know what it was about, and I didn't ask. Okay, so in the meantime, the tech told me, contact me, in a couple of days or by the end of the week if you haven't heard anything. He said because it's taken just a wee bit longer now than what it was taking because there's so many prescriptions to fill. I said, I understand that. I missed that golden window of opportunity on the 9th when the prescription was first written. So anyway, I actually forgot to call them on Friday. And so today I didn't think about it until like maybe 30 minutes ago. And that's when all this went down. So when I called the pharmacy, because I was looking at the prescription on my phone app because I have the app for the pharmacy. And so you can go into the thing, put in the code, and then once you put in the code, it pulls up all your prescriptions. It pulls up if you have any refills due, if you have anything ready, all that good stuff. So each time that I've looked at that, it has all, my prescriptions, which is only, 3. And then it has for the Zepbound quick pen, but it says waiting on doctor. And so, and that was the thing that he had told me. So I'm like, okay, obviously they're still waiting on the doctor. So let me call because here it is Monday, 4 or 5 days later. So I said, instead of speaking with the tech, I'm going to sidestep them and ask to speak to the pharmacist. And so as it turns out, it was the lady pharmacist again, Brittany. And so I said, Miss Brittany, I was like, you know who I am. I was like, I'm calling again about this darn Zepbound. And she knew who I was because my information was already in the computer and stuff in front of her. So she said, I'm glad that you called. She was like, I've been waiting. She was like 10 days ago. She said, I sent a message to your doctor's office because she said Medicare needs another prior authorization for the quick pen. She said, I sent her a message. I explained that all she needed to do was copy and paste the first prior authorization and send it to them and then contact me to let me know when it's done. She was like, I never heard back. And so I explained to her, well, she already knew that I was having trouble with the secretary. She was like, so I'm going to need you to call her. I was like, no, please, please. I said, because I already know it's going to be a fight. She was like, I was like, could you possibly call her? She was like, well, I want you to try first. She was like, and she may have done it. See, she may have submitted it. And then she could just tell you. She was like, and then you could let me know. And then I can call Medicare and check. So I was like, okay. For the greater good, I'll do it. So I hung up with her. I told her, I was like, I'll call you back one way or the other. So she was like, okay, I'll be waiting on your call. I called. And when I tell you that heifer got nasty from the jump, I said, I just spoke with my pharmacist and she told me that she sent I guess, I don't know if it was a fax or if it was a note or what, but I said, she told me she sent it 10 days ago requesting another prior authorization. She was like, yes, and I've got to fill out all that. I was like, well, why isn't it done? All they're going to do is deny it, and I have to fill out all this paperwork. I was like, hold your horses right now. I was like, number one, I said, she told me that she explained to you that all you need to do is copy and paste the first prior authorization that was done and send it in. That's all you need to do. I said, and furthermore, I was like, I am sick and tired of you telling me what they're not going to approve. I said, it is approved. I qualify. I said, you're thinking of the GLP-1 prescriptions through my regular insurance. I said, but because I have Medicare Part D, I was like, you should have read the information that the doctor received because he knows that I qualify. I was like, and you've been told 2,000 times that I qualify. Well, no, you don't. I'm like, quit telling me that I don't qualify for something that I know I qualify for. I said, all you need to do is what you were instructed to do. I said, so my next step is calling Dr. Reddy. That's my doctor. And she doesn't want me to do that because, see, he will get, if he finds out about this, and she better hope that he doesn't find out about this. He probably will after all this. Because the pharmacy, if anything else needs to be done, he's going to find out because he hit the roof the last time. She's just trying to be funny. And she knew about it. She knew about it. She knew that she was sent that and just did not do it. And so I told her, I was like, okay, I tell you what. I was like, we're done. I was like, because I'm not going to keep going around and around with you. I was like, and furthermore, I'll just call Dr. Reddy. I said, because I know that I do qualify. You don't. They're just going to deny it. I was like, I don't care whether they deny it or not. I said, the point is you need to send it in. So anyway, wait, I'm talking all loud. I hope the neighbors don't hear me. They're going to think this woman's cuckoo. Okay. Anyway, so I told her this call is over with. Goodbye. I said, I know what to do next. So I called the pharmacist back. And so, wait, before I called the pharmacist back, I was like, let me start looking for some bariatric doctors through my network, because I said my next step is going to be, it's going to take time, but I will have to make an appointment with the bariatric doctor, which I plan to do anyway. I decided I'm going to just do that, and I'm going to let the bariatric doctor run this train. Okay, that is once I get the medicine in hand. Because I'm as far along as I am, I don't want to rock the boat. So if I can get the medicine, then, but I'm going to look, because it's after 5 now. But what I'm going to do tomorrow, I'm going to call around to some bariatric doctors, and I'm going to make an appointment as a first-time patient, and I'll explain, why and everything. And then he can take it from there. I'll just leave my doctor out of it. Plus, I need someone who knows more about the GLP that I feel trustworthy of, who has experience and things like that. I was thinking of doing that anyway, but because I was where I was with my doctor who's on board, and I believe my doctor is knowledgeable, but I think I would much rather work with the bariatric team I'll have a dietitian through the gym, through Planet Fitness. I'll have the exercise, the personal trainer. I'll be in that class, but it wouldn't harm me to go through my medical as well, because at the gym they're gonna want to know, what your doctor is approving and things like that. So I need to get things straight. And so in a way, I'm kind of happy that it's taking a little bit longer, because that allows me to get this extra stuff in place, which I will start on tomorrow. Something just tells me do that and be done with it. Okay. Now, so I call the pharmacist back. And so she answers the phone, and I said, I knew it. I said, didn't I tell you it was going to be a nightmare? I said, first of all, we went around and around. It turned into a big, nasty blowout. I said, and I finally ended the call, and I told her, I'm going to have the pharmacist call you herself. And so that's what I told her. I was like, could you please call her? I said, because she's not getting it, or she doesn't want to get it. She was like, oh, she gets it. The pharmacist said she gets it. And she was like, but I will call her. She was like, and I will call you right back as soon as I talk to her. So we hung up. We wasn't hung up 2 minutes, and my phone rings, and it's the pharmacist. I'm like, that was quick. What happened? I was like, did she not answer the phone? She was like, no, I just spoke to her. I said, well, that was quick. I was like, we were on the phone a good 5 minutes arguing back and forth. She was like, when I called her, she's like, I just submitted the pre-authorization. So all she had to do was fax that thing. So after 10 days, she hadn't done it. So she did it in that 60-second time frame that it took for me to call the pharmacist back, speak with her briefly, and then the pharmacist to call her and then call me back. I swear, only 2 minutes had passed. 120 seconds, okay, between me calling the pharmacist calling her, and the pharmacist calling me back. That heifer knew what she was doing. So I'm like, no. I am so upset over this. I mean, it's gotten to the point now, this is just outrageous. And the pharmacist said the same thing. She was like, this is just outrageous. She was like, this is the worst. She was like, I've dealt with some doctors who didn't want to, or not the doctor. She was like, I've dealt with some secretaries who didn't want to do it, frustration, calling, acting as if they've never filled out a pre-auth and all this stuff, just totally confused. She was like, but nothing like this. She was like, nothing to where they just didn't want to do it. She was like, and this lady, she was like, that is something for, I was like, you know what? I said, pharmacist, Brittany, I said, I think I'm going to call the bariatric doctor and set up an appointment with the bariatric doctor, and then they will handle this from here on in. I was like, my doctor can do it for this 2.5, but believe me, when it's time for me to rise up, if I need to go up, I'm hoping to stay on the lowest dose of this possible, because I'm still not totally convinced that I'm not going to have side effects and stuff. I'm keeping that out of my mind and all that. And I know what side effects feel like because of the MS drugs. But if I do have side effects, I said, I don't want to, because like I told you, my doctor was wanting to start me on the high end. I was like, oh no, I'm not trying to lose the weight in 2 days, doctor. We're starting at the low end. So the point is, but he set the prescription where it's for 1 month 2.5, the next month 5 point, and then the next month 7.5, and then I'm to see him every month, and everything. So because the prescription is written that way, I don't know if it will have to be filled that way. So that's why I say I can intercept with the bariatric doctor, because if I want to stay on 2.5 and if I'm doing good, then I will have that doctor who can, he could take over. We'll get it figured out, with the pharmacist or whatever. So my doctor will be off the thing, and then the new pharmacist will be on. Because I think once I'm on the program, then, you're on it. That's it, unless this bariatric doctor will have to take me through the process again. And that's fine because they will definitely know what they're doing. No doubt in my mind. And then I would just be on the dosage that I'm on while he's doing what he has to do. So that following month, I will be able to do whatever. I feel like I'm just going around in circles. Y'all know the gist, okay? But in the meantime, after all that with the pharmacist, since it's been sent and everything now, so the pharmacist said, you should hear something. She said, if you don't hear anything by Wednesday, she said, give me a call. She was like, keep checking your app. She was like, and if your app shows anything, she's like, your app should change today because it's been submitted. She said, but the point is, on our end, she was like, on our end, we know that it's been submitted, so we will change your status on the app. She was like, so be checking. She's like, check tomorrow. She said, and then check on Wednesday. She's like, and if nothing has changed by Wednesday, give me a call. So I said, okay, I will. So here we are, waiting until Wednesday, y'all. So hopefully things will go through and it will be done. And I'm telling you, if it goes through, I'm going to be even madder because this is something that could have been done at least 2 weeks ago. 10 days? We're talking almost 2 weeks. So anyway, that's it. So I'm getting ready to get off of here, you guys. I'm not going to keep you too long. I've been on here 16 minutes rambling. So I'm going to let you go. Keep me in your prayers. And let's hope that everything works out for the better so I can get the party started with this Zepbound, y'all. Okay, I will talk to you guys later, and may God bless you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. And I will be updating you on Wednesday, one way or the other. Okay, bye-bye.